Assalamu alaikum, students. Today we are going to do the comprehension passage practice on yet another passage. The passage which I have selected for you is in front of you. As in the previous lecture, I have told you and provided you with the key for answering questions on a reading passage. So, in the beginning, I would write. I would like to refresh those points. Now, the questions which are usually asked on a reading comprehension passage are usually based on the main ideas of the given passage. Sometimes when you read the whole passage, never forget to go through the questions, because reading questions would help you find out the focus or the central idea on which a given passage is built. Okay, so the first point, the most or the foremost important point for attempting a comprehension passage, as I had told you in my previous lecture, is to find out the main idea, the topic sentence of the given passage. And it is on that main idea, on that main passage, that the whole passage is written. Okay. Moreover, a passage may contain, apart from a topic sentence, it may contain a conclusive sentence, a sentence that sums up the whole discussion in the passage. So usually you may also find such sentences in a passage. So if a passage comes in front of you, try to locate the presence of a topic sentence. If it is there, it would be either in the beginning, in the middle, or towards the end of a sentence, and then try to find out a sentence that would sum up the whole discussion of the passage. Okay, and why would you be finding out these type of sentences? Because your purpose is to find out the main idea, the main focus of the given passage. Once you understand what the passage is about, or what the writer intends to write in a passage, you would be in a position to answer any question on the given passage, number one. Number two, you would be able to write down a brief summary, a brief gist, or précis of the given passage. Okay, I hope you have understood the logic for reading the questions at the end, question statements of the passage given at the end of the passage, and the logic of locating the topic sentence in a given passage. Okay, so it is to find out the theme or the main idea of the passage. Then in the questions, you may be asked to to give meanings of difficult words that are used in a sentence, or of phrases. And I hope you know what phrases are. I have told you in my lecture on grammar, phrases are group of words. Okay, so you may be asked to give or to make use certain words or phrases, or even idioms that are used in the passage by the writer. You may be asked to make meaningful sentences of those words or phrases or idioms. Okay, so here your creativity would help you in the first place. And moreover, if you find difficulty, as I had told you in my previous lecture, if you find a word that is not that you are not that you are not familiar with, or a word very difficult for you to give the meaning of, then you are left with no other option but to guess the meaning. And after all, guessing a meaning of a word within a context is not a difficult thing. Okay? Once you have found what the theme of the passage is, what's the main focus of the writer, then it becomes really very easy for you to fix the meaning of a word or a phrase or an idiom used in the passage. So if you don't know the exact meaning, the literal meaning of the word, which sometimes we don't, so in that case, try to guess the meaning through the context of the passage. Try to find out what that word could mean uh, at the place where it is used in company of the other words, other ideas around. Okay. Then you may be asked to complete an incomplete sentence or uh, paragraphs on the basis of the given passage. Okay. So in that case, you have to look back, read the passage again, find out what's missing in the sentence, and then supply the missing information. And then you may be asked to make a précis or a summary of the passage. And I had in my previous lecture, I have told you précis is one third. A third. It is one third of the given passage. The words of the given passage are counted, and that count is given to you. So you simply have to divide that figure with 3 and then write a summary of the passage, write précis, brief summary or précis of the given passage, and then the words of your précis should be one third of the words used by the writer. So, and it is the part of the comprehension passage that most students are scared of. But I tell you, it is not difficult if you understand or if you grasp the meaning of the passage. So, because after all, comprehension means understanding. Okay, basically in reading comprehension, your understanding, your reading skill, and you can say your reading comprehension, your read understanding, or your ability to understand a passage through using your reading skill is checked or assessed. Okay, and as far as the title is concerned, your title of the passage, on the title which you would give to the passage, it should be very much pertinent to the main idea of the passage, of the given passage. So, students, your focus should be on finding out what the passage is about, why the writer is writing a given passage, or why the writer has written a passage. Okay, so क्यों लिखा गया है passage? If you find this the clue or this is the key, अगर आपको पता चल गया कि क्यों passage लिखा है, क्या बात कर रहा है उसमें, क्या focus है, ठीक है, तो फिर अगर आपको primary focus मिल गया, then everything would become easy for you. Now let's go through the passage. The passage says very few students have really any clear idea of what science means. The teaching of science in schools tends to obscure the meaning of science. When pupils at school work for a pass in science subject, they regard it their main business to learn a large number of facts and a smaller number of principles and theories. Now, all this is good in its way. A scientist must have a certain number of facts, principles, and theories at his fingertips. But science would cease to be science if scientists merely worked from fixed sets of facts and theories. The essence of science is the gathering of new facts and the establishment of new theories. Science has advanced rapidly in recent history because scientists have been greedy for new knowledge and because they have been ready to disbelieve in textbooks of their youth. It is therefore most important to give our young students of science an awareness of skepticism and an open-mindedness that is part of the very soul of science. Let them not think that any branch of science is a subject that one can sit down and learn. Let them realize that science is essentially a creative activity. Now, when you go through the passage, and as I was reading the passage, it occurred to me that this passage contains the summing up of the whole passage as well. And there's a topic sentence as well, or as well in the passage. So, but before discussing those things, let's go to the questions. Now, the first question is, when does science cease to be science? Then the second is, what are the two causes of the advancement of science? Third is, what should we teach to our students of science? Now, these are three questions apart from the fourth question, in which we are asked to write down the precis of the given passage along with a suitable title. Now, what does science cease to be? Now, as students, as you read the very first sentence, very few students have really any clear idea of what science means. The very first sentence of the passage is giving us a clue that the passage is about the true meaning of science, which is being misunderstood by the students of science. Okay? Now, the second sentence says the teaching of science in schools tends to obscure the meaning of science. Now, obscure means to create hurdle, rukawat dalna. So, the teaching of science in schools tends to obscure the meaning of science. Okay, so the teaching method the methodology that is being used in schools to teach science is hiding the true meaning of science from the students. Why? When people at school worked for a pass in science subject, they regarded their main business to learn a large number of facts and a smaller number of principles and theories. Why the meaning of science is obscured at schools due to faulty teaching? Because the students are not being able to understand what science really is. What they think at school about science is that it is just a subject in which they have to pass through and that they can achieve by learning a large number of facts and a smaller number of principles and theories of science. The writer has no objection to the learning of some facts and theories and principles. He says, now all this is good in its way. All of this is good in its way, but this is not science. A scientist must have a certain number of facts, principles, and theories at his fingertips. But science would cease to be science if scientists merely worked from fixed sets of facts and theories. Okay? So, learning of facts and theories and principles is good to some extent. But if scientists work from the learned theories or from the point of view of the facts which they are taught at school, then science would not be science any longer. It would cease to be science. Cease means stopped. So why? Because the real essence, the true spirit of science, which is the gathering of new facts and the establishment of new theories, would be overlooked. Okay? The true essence of science is gathering new facts and forming new principles. But when the students of science would be learning the old theories, the already found out facts without applying their critical thinking, then it would make science lose its luster, lose its value as science. Okay. Then science has advanced rapidly in recent history because scientists have been greedy for new knowledge and because they have been ready to disbelieve in textbooks of their youth. Now, over here, the writer is is counting the reason, the presenting the reasons for the advancement of science in the latest history, in the recent history. He says that in the recent history, science has progressed because of two reasons. And what are those two reasons? First reason is that the scientists had greed, had lust. Okay, they had lust, they had greed, they had desire, they had want for war, new knowledge. And number two, they were skeptic. They were ready, there was a readiness in them to discard whatever they had been taught in their textbooks. They wanted to go further. Okay, so their skeptic attitude towards already acquired knowledge and their greed for new knowledge made them bring advancement in the field of science. It is therefore most important to give our young students of science an awareness of skepticism. Now, what is skepticism? Skepticism means, yes, it means doubt, suspicion, distrust. Okay, so awareness of skepticism and open-mindedness. Open-mindedness means readiness to accept new things and letting go of the conventions or the old things. Okay, so it is that is the part of the very soul of science. Now the very soul of science is skepticism and open-mindedness, and this should be taught in the school rather than making students learn or cram facts and figures and theories and principles established by earlier scientists. Let them not think that any branch of science is a subject. So science should not be taught as a conventional subject. Okay, it should not be taught in a way that students think that they have to cram facts, they have to learn by heart the principles, they must memorize the theories given by the scientist and write them down in the paper and pass through their exams. Instead, what should they be taught? They should be taught that science is let them realize that science is essentially a creative activity. So that science is a creative activity. The creativity is at the very core of science, based on skepticism and open-mindedness, which are the two attitudes of science that should be taught to the students of science. Now, I hope you have understood the passage very well. Now, what is the main idea? The main idea, the main thesis upon which the whole passage is written is that science is essentially a creative activity. The very last sentence. Okay? And then, what is the conclusion? We should make our students aware of skepticism and open-mindedness as the very soul of science, the way that the science should be taught. Okay, so science is essentially a creative activity. It is the main idea. Now, the first question, how would you answer? When does science cease to be science? Science कब science नहीं रहती? कब नहीं रहती? It is very easy. Science cease to be science. There are answers written to these questions. Now, there from the passage you can pick out these lines. Science ceased to be science when people work for a pass in a science subject. Number two, they learn a large number of facts and smaller number of principles and theories. Okay, so science ceased to be science when these two things are done in school, when the students are given an idea that science is just subject, and for to pass the subject and their goal should be to pass the subject. And how could they pass? By cramming facts. Okay, then what are the two causes of the advancement of science? Now this is again, there are two causes. These are listed over here. And the two major causes of the advancement of science are scientists have been greedy for new knowledge. Number two, they have been ready to disbelieve in the books of their youth. Okay, so these are the two reasons these given by the writer, which are the cause of advancement of science. Then what should we teach to our students of science? Now, what should we teach our students of science? We should teach them two major things. And what are those? Awareness of skepticism and open-mindedness. Now, students, you may give answers like this, but I would personally feel that if you write down a small passage, that would be better. How? You would do this by instead of giving bullet points or instead of listing like A or B, you could say science ceased to be science when people work for a past in a science subject. Moreover, when they learn a large number, when they are made to learn a large number of facts and smaller number of principles and theories. So you can add just a word moreover. Then the two major causes of the advancement of science, as given by the writer, are the greed of scientists for new knowledge and their readiness to disbelieve in the textbook books of their youth. ठीक है, समझ आ रहा है आपने किस तरह इसको पैसेज की फॉर्म में लिखना है? ठीक है? Then what should we teach to our students of science? We should teach two major things to our students of science, and that are awareness of skepticism and open-mindedness. Now, instead of writing this, you may write down awareness of skepticism and open-mindedness are the two things which we should teach to our students of science. Okay, so this is how you are going to write down the this whole of this thing as a paragraph. Okay, now what is the title? It's very easy. You may write down teaching of science as a creative activity. After all, the writer has given the plea कि science जैसे पढ़ाई जा रही है उससे science को एक subject के तौर पे students देने लगे हैं. So teaching of science as a creative activity या science as a creative activity. Now Pressy, there were 199 words in the given passage. So कितने आपके पास words होने चाहिए in the Pressy? It's almost 68. So here's a Pressy जो कि मैंने लिखी है 65 words की बन रही है. Science is a creative activity which has advanced because of the lust for knowledge and the skeptic attitude of the early scientists of the scientists of the scientists of the scientists. Its essence, an awareness of skepticism and open-mindedness should be taught to science students rather than making them to cram few facts and smaller and principles with the target to pass the science and pass the subject science. Okay, I hope you have understood today's lesson, students, and I hope you have seen that this précis covers the whole passage. So when you would be writing down the précis, you should keep in mind that you should look for the main idea of the passage. और वो मिल जाए तो आपका काम बहुत आसान हो जाता है. Okay, so with this we come to the end of today's lesson. To practice this précis writing and reading comprehension passage, and again, don't feel shy to ask any question or to ask me anything regarding comprehension passage. Good luck.